Right now, there is only one kind of human left on Earth. Just one. Us. We take it completely for granted. When you picture humans, you picture people like yourself, Homo sapiens, the only humans there are. But this is one of the strangest and loneliest facts about our species, and for almost all of history, it simply wasn't true. For hundreds of thousands of years, Earth was home to many different kinds of human at the same time. Walking the same valleys, hunting the same animals, lighting fires under the same stars, there were several species of human living side by side. You've probably heard of one of them, the Neanderthals. But they were not alone, and neither were we. The Neanderthals were just one branch of a far stranger family. A family that included a ghost species we only discovered from a scrap of bone. A tiny human the size of a child who lived on a lost island. And others we are still digging out of the dark. These were the other humans, our cousins. And every single one of them is gone. This is the story of the lost human species, the ones who shared the world with us and then vanished, leaving us strangely, eerily alone. Some of them we've known about for a century, others we discovered only in the last few years, and a couple we know about only because their DNA is still hiding inside people living today. So forget the simple story of a straight line from ape to man. The truth is far richer and far more haunting. The human family tree was not a ladder with us at the top. It was a sprawling, branching bush, crowded with different kinds of people, and for a brief moment in time, many of those branches were alive at once. What were they like? How did we end up as the last ones standing? And what does it mean that pieces of these vanished humans are still written into your body today? To find out, we have to travel to a freezing cave in the mountains of Siberia, where a single fingertip rewrote the story of humanity. In 2008, deep in a cave in the Altai Mountains of Siberia, scientists found something tiny, a single fragment of a finger bone, smaller than a coin. It had belonged to a young girl who died there tens of thousands of years ago. By every expectation, it should have been a Neanderthal, or one of us. But when researchers extracted the DNA from that fingertip, they got the shock of their lives. It was neither. It belonged to a completely unknown kind of human, a species no one had ever seen, with no name, no skeleton, no face. A ghost. They called them the Denisovans, after the cave where that single bone was found. And here is what makes them so extraordinary. We discovered an entire human species, almost entirely from its DNA. For years, nearly everything we knew about the Denisovans came not from bones, but from their genetic code, read from a fingertip, a few teeth, a fragment of jaw. From that code, an astonishing picture emerged. The Denisovans were not some minor side branch. They spread across a huge swath of Asia, from the cold of Siberia possibly all the way to the tropics of Southeast Asia for hundreds of thousands of years. They were a successful, widespread people we had been completely blind to. And just like the Neanderthals, we met them. We more than met them. When our ancestors moved into Asia, they encountered Denisovans, and they had children together. We know this for the same reason we know it about Neanderthals, because their DNA is still here. Today, people across Asia and the Pacific carry Denisovan DNA, and in some populations, like the people of Papua New Guinea and Aboriginal Australians, that inheritance is especially strong. One Denisovan gene, passed down to modern Tibetans, helps their bodies cope with the thin air high in the Himalayas, a survival gift from a vanished species, still keeping people alive today. A whole kind of human, erased so completely that we almost never knew they existed, and yet still living on, quietly, in the blood of millions. The Denisovans were the first hint that the human family was far stranger than we thought. The next clue was waiting on a remote island, and it was even stranger. Far to the south of Siberia, on the Indonesian island of Flores, lies one of the most jaw-dropping discoveries in the history of human science. In 2003, in a cave called Liang Bua, researchers unearthed the skeleton of an adult human. But this human was tiny, barely a meter tall, about the height of a modern 4-year-old. At first, some thought it must be a child, or a person with a medical condition. It was neither. It was an adult of a completely separate human species, one that had been living on that island for a very long time. Scientists named it Homo floresiensis. The world named it something else: the Hobbit. Almost everything about the Hobbit defies expectation. Standing about a meter tall, with a brain only about the size of a grapefruit, far smaller than ours, you might assume they were primitive and helpless. They were anything but. With those small brains, they made stone tools. They used fire. And they hunted on an island that was like something out of a nightmare. Because Flores in their time was a lost world. Alongside the tiny humans lived dwarf elephants the size of cattle, giant rats, enormous storks that stood taller than the hobbits themselves, and Komodo dragons, the giant venomous lizards that still prowl the island today. Picture it, a meter-tall human, armed with stone-tipped spears, hunting miniature elephants while trying not to become a meal for a dragon. How did a human become so small? The answer is a strange rule of nature called island dwarfism. On isolated islands with limited food and few predators, large animals often evolve, over generations, to become smaller, and it seems the same thing happened to these humans, shrinking them down over thousands of years until they became the Hobbits of Flores. And they were not a brief experiment. Homo floresiensis survived on their island for a remarkably long time, vanishing only around 50,000 years ago, right around the time modern humans were spreading through the region. The Hobbit proved something profound. The human story didn't happen in just one place, in one shape. It branched into forms we would never have dreamed of. And Flores was not the only island hiding a secret. The Denisovans and the Hobbit were not the end of it. The more we dig, the more lost humans we find. On the island of Luzon in the Philippines, scientists recently identified yet another new species, Homo luzonensis, known from a handful of bones and teeth. Another small, mysterious human living its own isolated island life. Deep in a barely accessible cave system in South Africa, explorers crawled through passages almost too narrow for a human body and found a chamber filled with bones, the remains of Homo naledi, a small-brained human with a curious mix of ancient and modern features, who may even have placed their dead deliberately in the dark. And these are only the ones we've found. Scientists strongly suspect there are still more ghost lineages out there. Entire human species we know nothing about yet. Hinted at by strange traces in ancient DNA, waiting in caves and sediments we haven't searched. Step back, and the full picture is staggering. For most of the last few 100,000 years, our planet was not home to a single, lonely kind of human. It was crowded with them. The Neanderthals in the west, the Denisovans across Asia, the Hobbits on Flores, Homo luzonensis in the Philippines, Homo naledi in Africa, and our own ancestors, rising in between. At certain moments, there may have been 5, 6, or more different human species alive on Earth at the same time, different in size and shape, in the way they lived, yet all of them undeniably human. If you could travel back, you would not find one humanity. You would find many. It was, for a brief stretch of deep time, a planet of humans, plural. A world we can barely imagine now because we have lived our entire history as the only ones. Which raises the question that haunts this whole story. What happened to all of them? Why, out of so many kinds of human, are we the only ones left? One by one, they disappeared. The Hobbits faded from Flores. The Denisovans vanished from Asia. The Neanderthals were gone from Europe. Within a relatively short window, by around 40 to 50,000 years ago, every other kind of human on Earth had slipped away, until only one remained, us. Why? The honest answer is that we don't fully know, and it was probably not the same story everywhere. But the same forces appear again and again. A changing, unstable Ice Age climate that punished species tied to particular ways of life. Small, scattered populations with little room for error. And the spread of our own ancestors, more numerous, more connected, more flexible, moving into nearly every corner of the world. competing for the same food and the same land. It likely wasn't a single war or massacre. It was slower and sadder than that, a long fading, as one kind of human after another was squeezed out of existence, until the great branching bush of humanity had been pruned down to a single living twig. But here is the part that changes everything. They did not vanish completely. Just as the Neanderthals live on in the DNA of people outside Africa, the Denisovans live on in the people of Asia and the Pacific. Their genes still shape immune systems, still help bodies survive thin mountain air. We did not simply outlast our cousins, we absorbed pieces of them. They are woven into us. So when you look in the mirror, you are not just looking at the last surviving human species. You are looking at a kind of living archive, carrying fragments of the Neanderthals, the Denisovans, and perhaps others we haven't even identified yet. We feel alone, as if being the only humans is the natural order of things. But it isn't. It's the strange exception. For almost all of our story, we had company, many kinds of company, and in a very real way, we never truly lost them. We carry them with us every day in our very selves. For just a blink of geological time, we have been the only humans on Earth. But we were not the first, and we were never truly alone. Somewhere out there, in caves not yet explored and DNA not yet read, more lost cousins are surely still waiting to be found. If this journey into our vanished family moved you, you'll feel right at home here. At Dawn of Mankind, we bring the forgotten chapters of our origins back to life, one story at a time. Subscribe and turn on the bell and join us as we keep digging into the deep, strange history of what it means to be human. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the past.